The TBR jar is back and it's time to pick out my July TBR. It feels like a long time since I've done one of these videos, and that is because I did not do a TBR last month. There's not really a solid reason that I can remember anyway why I didn't do a TBR last month, but I was in a reading slump and I honestly just needed to mood read, and that's all I wanted to do. And I'm glad I did it because I have managed to get out of my reading slump. So right now I'm ready to go back to the TBR jar and to pick out a TBR. As you can probably see, we do not have loads of prompts left in here. I mean, it's still about half full, I guess. So I'm gonna have to add some more prompts soon. So if you have any prompts that you would like to see, leave them below in the comments and I will add those for next time. One more thing I guess to go through is that in here we have different coloured prompts for different genres of books. So green is fantasy, pink is romance, blue is thriller, and purple is just general fiction, like literary fiction. There's more green in here than anything else because I have more fantasy books on my TBR than anything else, but I have to say I'm in a real romance mood. So I will probably still put some fantasy on there, but I'm definitely in a romance mood at the moment, and I also would maybe quite like a thriller. So I have my TBR cut here full of my TBR, and then I also have a bottom shelf on my bookcase which is also full of my TBR, so we will kind of go from both places, but yeah, you can't see the shelf at the moment, so I'm sorry about that. With that said, I guess let's get on with it. We're going to choose anywhere between 6 to 8 prompts depending on how the TBR goes, how I'm feeling about the TBR. So for my first pick I always like to do a blind pick. So we're not choosing the genre, we're just going to get what we get, and it's probably going to be fantasy. Oh! Purple. That's just literary fiction, I think. Whoops. Okay, interesting. Let's see what this is. I'm scared. A new to me author. Okay, so I think I only have 2 literary fictions on my physical TBR at the moment, and one of them is The Women by Kristen Hanna, so I cannot choose that one because I have read The Nightingale already. I guess Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid is also a literary fiction, but again, she's not a new to me author. So the only one that I can really go for is Beartown by Frederick Bachman. I have never read a Frederick Bachman book before, and I have just heard amazing things about his books and about this series in particular. I'm honestly a little bit scared to read it, but also excited. This follows a small town in Sweden and a hockey team, I think, and something terrible happens and we kind of follow the fallout of that, I think, or like the way that it affects people's lives. I don't know. I don't want to know too much. I like to go in blind. I believe this is a series. I think it's a trilogy, I want to say. But I feel like a lot of people just read this one and don't read the whole series, so we will see. Okay, so because we got literary fiction, I think I'm going to do another blind pick. I don't mind for now what goes on. Okay, romance. Perfect. What does it say? Is that upside down? A cover you don't like. Okay. Okay, immediately I have 2 I'm going to pull up. I mean, there's also the play by Elle Kennedy, but honestly I just don't really want to read that. I think these two are both covers that I don't really love. So we have The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren. I have to say, the American covers for Christina Lauren books are so much nicer than these weird like pop colours that we have in the UK. I just don't love them. It looks kind of cheap to me. Definitely not my favourite cover. And then the other one is The Love of My Afterlife. Now I don't hate this cover, but it's kind of giving nothing. To be honest, actually, it kind of looks a little bit childish, I would say, this cover. It looks like a children's book. However, I've actually heard really good things about both of these books, and especially that they are both quite funny, I think. But I think the one I'm gonna have to go with, because this is a July TBR, is The Paradise Problem. Like, this just screams having to be read in summer. So if I don't get around to it in July, then I have to get around to it in August. And who knows what's going to be happening in August. I could be back in a reading slump by then. So I think I'm going to go for The Paradise Problem. And what do I know about this one? I think it's fake dating. Yeah, it's definitely fake dating. And also I've heard that the female main character in this is hilarious. Like, she will just make you laugh. So I hope that I do like her and she's not too annoying. I don't really like forced comedy or like obvious comedy. So if that's what it's like, I'm probably not going to like her or this that much. But if it's more subtle and I don't know how to explain it. Like, I like more casual humour than in your face, ridiculous humour. So yeah, anyway, that is book number 2. Okay, so we have a romance, we have a literary fiction. I'm thinking maybe we go for a thriller. So let's... Do I even have any thrillers? I think this might be my last thriller prompt in here. So I'm definitely gonna have to add some more because I have a few thrillers I would like to read. All right, what does this say? A 300 page book. Okay, I can never find exactly 300 pages, but I'm gonna have a look at my thrillers and see what is the closest. I wonder if I have any on my Kindle actually, because I have 2 on my physical TBR and neither of them are that close to 300. No, I don't have any on my Kindle library. Okay, look, we're just gonna go with what we've got, which is the closest, which is the only one left by Riley Sager. This is, as I said, not that close. It is 380 pages. So at least it's in the 300s, but it's not that close. I've read, what's it called? Home Before Dark. Yeah, Home Before Dark, that's the one I read. And I really enjoyed it. It kind of felt a little bit more of a horror than a thriller. So I'm interested to see if that's like what all of his books feel like. This one kind of looks quite scary as well. I put this one forward as a book club option, so I have a little summary. Okay, at 17, Lenora Hope hung her sister with a rope, stabbed her father with a knife, took her mother's happy life. It wasn't me, Lenora said, but she was the only one not dead. That sounds creepy, but it sounds good. I am excited to read that. So that's basically the premise of this one. I think she is basically accused of murdering her family, but she's saying she didn't do it, but there's literally no one else there. So she must have done it. I'm excited to read this one. And yeah, I also really want to read The House Across the Lake. Let me know what your favourite Riley Sager book is, because I, as I said, really enjoyed Home Before Dark and I definitely want to read more of his books. So let me know which ones you like the most. Okay, a very diverse TBR. I think let's go for a fantasy, since we do not have one yet. More than 500 pages. Great. Actually, I know what I'm going to go for, because I currently have the free trial of Kobo Plus and this series is on there, so I feel like I may as well read it while I've got it. I mean, I say that, I'm literally holding the physical book here. I have the physical book. However, she's thick, she's chunky, and I just think maybe I would rather read it on my Kobo if I can. So I think this is what I'm going to go for. So this is a spin-off series of Blood and Ash. In fact, I think it's a prequel series, and I have read the first 3 books of Blood and Ash. I kind of enjoyed them. The 3rd book I got a little bit bored and then I never continued with the series, but I've heard this series is much better. I feel like people seem to love this series, and the correct reading order for this universe is to, after you've read the first 3 Blood and Ash books, to go in and read this one. Now, can I remember much of what happened in the Blood and Ash books? No. I remember the general kind of plot for the first book and who the main people are, but I don't really remember what happened or what big conflict or anything is going on. So maybe I need to do a bit of a refresher, but maybe I don't. Maybe I can just go straight into this. I don't know. But this has been on my TBR for a while, so I'm glad to be getting to this. Okay, let's do a blind pick. Another fantasy, okay. Latest KU download. Oh no, okay, what is this gonna be? Sometimes I just randomly download books on Kindle and then never read them. Oh no. Okay, so the last book that I downloaded on Kindle that is a fantasy is Direbound. However, I'm pretty sure it's been picked up by a publisher now. Let me just double check my information there, but I'm pretty sure it's been picked up by a traditional publisher and is maybe going to be traditionally published, in which case I don't really want to read it because it probably means it's going to be a long time until the next book is out, and I just don't want to do that to myself. Let me just see. Oh, there's a really pretty Waterstones edition. Look at that. Interesting. When is this book actually out? I'm so confused. Oh, okay. I've seen the second book is coming out on the 3rd of March next year. And I think Direbound is out now. So it's kind of annoying that the second book's not out for quite a long time. So ideally, honestly, I would not be adding this to my TBR, but these are the TBR rules. As you can see, it's the most recent fantasy book that I have downloaded on KU. So I guess we are adding Diabound by Sable Sorensen to my TBR. Now I have heard really good things about this, so I am excited to read it. However, I really need to stop reading new books as they come out when they're part of a series and you have to wait like a year for the next book, because I cannot remember what happened, and I'm also not much of a rereader, so I don't really like to reread books before the sequel comes out. I don't know what I'm saying, I do it all the time, so it's not that crazy. Okay, that is book number 5 on the TBR. Let's do another blind pick. Actually, I would quite like another romance. Okay, we've got another fantasy. We'll do a fantasy and then another romance, I think, and then we'll call it a day. What does it say? It's quite a long one. Author with same first initial as me, and it's a fantasy. Well, my first initial is M for Maisie, so let's see what we've got. An author whose name begins with an M. No, Alison, Isabel. Anything over there? Rachel Gillig. Okay, let's look on Kindle. Oh, okay, I've got one. So we are going to go for The Things We Water by Mariana Zapata. This is Mariana Zapata's first fantasy book, and I'm excited to read it. I've enjoyed a lot of her books. I love a slow burn romance. I'm hoping this one is slow burn as well, because we definitely need more slow burn fantasy books. And I think it's a standalone, so that's good. It came out a couple of months ago. It's on Kindle Unlimited. Should I be able to tell you what it's about? I guess so. Once upon a time, a girl found a magical puppy, and her life was never the same again. Nina Popoka needs help, so much of it. The only place she can find that help is on a sprawling ranch in Colorado, a place hiding more than a community filled with magical creatures trying to live their lives in safety and in peace. A village that might hold the answers to questions she'd had her entire life. And if that ranch is owned by her best friend's hunky cousin, there are worse things in the world than having to live right by Henry Blackrock. Okay, this is interesting because the cover looks very typical fantasy. Do you see? But the premise sounds not that serious. I don't know. I'm intrigued. We will see, I guess. Okay, let's now go for our last one, which is going to be a romance. Why does this ring keep falling off my finger? Matches my top. Okay, so we need a romance that's purple, I guess. Okay, we have 2 purple romances up here. So we have Deep End by Ali Hazelwood and Fix Her Up by Tessa Bailey. I'm laughing because I honestly think that I've had this book for as long as I've lived in this house. For like when we were renovating this house, I thought, oh, how cute, I'll get this book. And I just have never picked it up. Clearly that's why it's here. But do I feel like I want to read it this month? Honestly, I think I want to read this one this month, sorry. Sorry, Fix Her Up. I'm gonna put Deep End by Ali Hazelwood on here. I love Ali Hazelwood. I know that this book, I feel like, did not get a good reception. I feel like people just did not enjoy it. But Ali Hazelwood hasn't done me wrong so far, so I'm gonna go for it, okay? I'm gonna go for Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. I think this is like a friends with benefits swimming romance. That's all I know. Ali Hazelwood is a queen. I enjoy all of her books, so I'm excited to read this one. Okay, so we have my July TBR sorted. So firstly, just the Kindle books. We have The Things We Water by Mariana Zapata and Diabound by Sable Sorensen. And then physically, we have Deep End by Ali Hazelwood, A Shadow in the Embers by Jennifer L. Armentrout, The Only One Left by Riley Sager, The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren, and Beartown by Frederick Bachman. I'm not gonna lie, we've got a nice mix of different kinds of books on this TBR. If I look at this physical stack, it doesn't necessarily scream summer in the way that I maybe wanted it to, especially if I think about the Kindle books I've got as well to add to this. They are not giving summer either, but it is what it is. I've got a thriller in there, I've got a couple of romances, like those are summer books for me, so I'm sure I will survive. Let me know if you have read any of these books or if any of them are on your TBR. Please don't forget to leave a comment, like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'd love to see you in my next video. Bye!